It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman on a rainy Monday morning. But we're going to start your week with a little sunshine in just a few minutes when President Trump steps back to the podium in D.C. and takes questions. If he takes questions, we will go back live to his news conference today, where he has announced crime is over in Washington, D.C. And this can't help but remind you of some Batman movie. It can't, where they stand up and say it's going to end, and everybody's taking their turn at the lectern. Pete Hegseth was up there. Pam Bondi's been up there. Kash Patel is now speaking. When Trump comes back and starts to take questions, we will go to that because that's usually the most interesting part. And what we're looking for in this news conference today, or what I'm looking for, and maybe you are looking for, is can we do this in Kansas City? Can the president get that done in the most dangerous parts of our city in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, for that matter, in some of the more dangerous areas in our community? Can we do this here? I don't think anybody's going to question whether this works or not. I think just as the border has gone down to 0 people coming across, we're about ready to see really quiet days and nights in Washington, D.C., a very safe place to go visit our national museums, which are free, go to the zoo, walk by the White House, feel safe. Yes, there's going to be a massive presence of National Guard and FBI and police officers, Park Police, ATF, U.S. Marshals, DHS. The Secret Service can be deployed. It's D.C. He can use everything at his disposal in a very small area. But in most major cities, the dangerous problems that we encounter and can't seem to get rid of are basically in, we can call them sanctuary areas. Most places are sanctuary cities where we've talked a lot about illegal aliens being allowed to live there and survive and thrive and, do whatever. But the jurisdictions like San Francisco where they give out the free needles for drug users. They have the free Narcan machines, so when you overdose, you can save your life. All these other things where they just allow mental illness to play out in the streets through drug usage, completely unsanitary human conditions, and something that I think is a disgrace to our great land, that we take people now with mental problems and just dump them or allow them to congregate under bridges and say, we're not going to get you any help. We're not going to take you somewhere where we can help you. Just sit there, stay out of the way. We'll give you needles. Here's your Narcan if you need it. And, let us know when you're dead and we'll take care of it. It's disgusting what we've done in so many of these places. And we shouldn't act like we don't have them in Kansas City, because we do have places like that. And I'll be very curious to hear what Trump can do in Kansas City and in places like this. Or if that's Governor Kehoe, if Governor Kehoe would say, we have an area in Kansas City, Missouri, that we're mapping off a certain jurisdiction or whatever where we're going to send the National Guard in. We're going to have the FBI, the DEA, extra police enhancements. These would all be really important things to have happen. And Trump is doing that. He's calling this a public safety emergency. He said, this is all embarrassing for me. I don't want to be here today doing this. I'm going to meet Putin on Friday, and this is embarrassing. And I'm talking about crime in our nation's capital, which should be the single most beautiful capital on earth. It's unsafe, it's dirty, and it's disgusting. He called Washington, D.C. disgusting. He said, we're immediately going to re-asphalt and pave all the streets. We're redoing all the sidewalks. We're fixing all the medians, all the bridges, all the signs. We are taking it over. Washington, D.C. is about to be a construction zone as well. They're going to redo Washington, D.C. They're going to completely clean it up. So when, as he said, Americans from Iowa or Indiana or anywhere else come to D.C. on their summer vacations with their children to show them the Capitol, they don't walk around in horror going, my God, I want to go back to Iowa. That they come here and go, well, isn't this beautiful? And honest to God, all the stupid things we pay for in this country, like the war in Ukraine, USAID, all the hundreds of billions of dollars every year that we just throw away and don't even know where it goes, and we've got a Washington, D.C. we can't be proud of? Look, I don't like being taxed and spending money on a whole lot of things, but I'd support having a beautiful, safe capital, wouldn't you? Isn't that something we should be proud of? Shouldn't Washington, D.C. be the exception? And as he pointed out, you've got all these Democrats that don't support law and order. He says, we're going to put a bill. They're coming forward with a bill. They're going to try to pass a bill. What they want to do is prosecute 14-year-olds as adults, 14 and up. The crime in D.C. is just like the crime at the Chiefs parade here. It's teenagers. It's gang-related teenagers. They recruit them young. They know they can't be prosecuted as adults, and that's who's committing the crimes. It was a gang of teenagers that rolled big balls last week, and that's what set this thing off. I just think it's important to know what we're dealing with and how we have all these loopholes and fundamental flaws within our laws that we've got to change. And that's what he's talking about. He said we have 3,500 police officers in D.C. This is a small area. He said that's plenty. But we need to actually let them do their job. We need rules and regulations, and we need to have 3,500 officers that want to enforce them. Not a third or half of the officers that are bleeding hearts that want to let them go, that were woke hires, as he says. No, they've turned this D.C. into a sanctuary jurisdiction, Trump said today, and we probably won't get one Democrat vote when we come up with a bill. He said, just think about that and what they stand for. He says, I know, because I've heard from Democrats here in D.C. that are scared and want D.C. cleaned up. They just don't want it cleaned up back where they run for office because it'll get them in trouble. But they want to be safe where they are. They just don't care about the rest of us. And I'm with Trump on that. I think he's absolutely right. 100% right. And I can't wait to find out if this can be done in other places. Or if Gavin Newsom could stop it in San Francisco. Or Governor Hochul in New York. You know, I guarantee you Trump's target, his first target, if he can go elsewhere, is going to be New York City. Because he's got Mayor Adams right there that'll work with him. And he's running for re-election. And if they clean New York up that fast and get crime down to zero with some sort of a massive presence, look out, that election might turn. The question is, can the governor stop it? Can the courts stop it? There's very little reason to believe that the courts can stop anything here in D.C. with what he's trying to do. All right, I think the president is taking questions, Mark. Is he? He's not taking questions. He's still on script. So we're a couple minutes away from him maybe taking questions. Let's go ahead and break just a couple minutes here early and see if he's getting ready to take questions when we come back. Uncanceled is underway. I can't wait to hear what the president has to say. We got a great show lined up for you today, a million cool topics. Stay with us. You're on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, President Trump is live at the White House in Washington, D.C. He's wrapping up the prepared portion of this statement today, this media event, announcing two executive orders. The first is that he and the federal government will take control of the District of Columbia. He's notified the mayor, Congress, and everyone in Washington, D.C. that they now have control. The second authorizes Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to mobilize the National Guard and any federal troops to do whatever is at the pleasure of the President of the United States in Washington, D.C. This won't take long to have zero crime in D.C., I feel. I always forget the guys. Is it Will Harf? Is it Harf or Scharf? How does he say his last name? He came up and read the executive orders, which was pretty cool.
Will Scharf.
Scharf. So they've done that part. He's from Missouri. He's just awesome. And Trump is concluding with his thoughts, and I believe he's getting ready to take questions. So, Mark, if you don't mind, let's just jump right back in there and give a listen to President Trump at the White House. This is live, courtesy of Fox Radio.
To rip down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the ropes started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. They're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were two ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just left. I know it was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild, and somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you an exact, because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates. Around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position, because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson, and I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln, and even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay if you're soft, weak, and pathetic like so many people? I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say maybe if you could. Oh, wow. We could be here all day long. If we could keep the first questions perhaps to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing pride of what D.C. is. And do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders, they're all wanting to come. And I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% is already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country in the world right now. The tariffs have helped. It's given us not only the money, it's billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars with Pakistan and India. We just solved one. Azerbaijan, and as you know, and Armenia. A war was raging for 37 years. And the 2 leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done. And I said to the 2 men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war, and you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, the metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it. And it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet, I don't think. Gaddy, we're not quite there yet, but maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
Mr. President, sorry. Question for you on the specific issue. Do you expect more cities to follow D.C.'s path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, L.A., San Francisco, would they expect similar action what we've seen in D.C.? And the other question, sir, there's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early. But, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical, and I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medical and for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things, but for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll clean up, and maybe they'll do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. If you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. Everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy.
Okay, President Trump, there's the question we were looking for, the question about what about other cities? He said, we hope that other cities will see this and do a self-reflection, self-cleanup. But then he mentioned we're looking at New York, because, of course, Donald Trump's looking at New York. We're due for a break. Uncanceled is going to continue on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Keatsman. Thanks for joining us. We're back in a flash. Welcome back to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Keatsman. Good to be in the seat today as the rain is clearing through the area. Hopefully you'll find some sunshine in your week this week. We're looking forward to a great week of shows here on KCMO Talk Radio. Something we did over the past couple weeks was spend a great deal of time talking about illegal immigration as it affects our area here in the Kansas City metropolitan area. And we saw a restaurant in Kansas City, Kansas, and Lenexa, two locations that were raided by Department of Homeland Security investigations. And some people were apprehended that we later learned are basically indentured servants. They were victims. They were being interviewed about people that were perpetrating crimes against them, making them work either for no wages or illegal wages where they were working as basically an indentured servant. The media still hasn't fully recovered from that story and talked about it. We're seeing pickets and groups showing up in weird places, waving signs, still convinced, these idiots on the side of the road with their signs, they still think ICE raided that place, hauled those people off that worked there and deported them or sent them to Alligator Alcatraz. Nothing could have been further from the truth on that story, so they absolutely blew it. But it's pretty obvious Homeland Security is very concerned about the people that run those restaurants, who they're involved with, and they have previously been cited by the state of Kansas for not paying legal wages to workers. This has been a problem in the past. So we should have known this a couple of years ago when it found out they weren't paying overtime and there were some other violations that they had with their payroll and the way they were paying people, that these were indentured servants, essentially. We don't like to think we have them in America, but we do. So that's one Mexican restaurant. And as we were talking about this, and I've talked about it a great deal on my podcast, Kevin Keatsman Has Issues, and I got an email from a listener. I give my email address out on the podcast, and folks contact me directly this way through the podcast. Those that listen, they know my email address. And so I get wonderful emails of story tips and things like that, and people that are privy to things because of where they live and what they see. And it's a big, broad audience. I have listeners in all 50 states. It's not really a national or global podcast. Everyone that listens somehow is affiliated to Kansas City, but a lot of people grew up in Kansas City, relocated, whatever, and live in other places. This is in-state, but it's quite a ways from here. It's Liberal, Kansas, which is pretty far away. Liberal, Kansas is pretty close to Oklahoma, Texas, Panhandle area out in southwestern Kansas. And a gentleman sent me a post from a Facebook account by Willie Vargas, who had a Mexican restaurant in Liberal, Kansas for many years. And I don't often read things on the air, but you've got to hear what this man has to say. Keep in mind what we saw at the Mexican restaurants here in Kansas City, and this is how it went in Liberal, Kansas. Willie Vargas posts, with all the BS I see on the news and even here on Facebook, I felt it was time to share my family's legacy. Many locals remember the Vargas Cafe, but time has forgotten or not known about how we arrived here. I hope the people advocating for the illegal immigration or the illegal migration to please take a moment and read this thread so you'll understand why I'm opposed to the illegal influx. The quiet strength of the Vargas family's legal journey to America is this. We arrived in the United States not of shortcuts, handouts, or lawlessness. Ours is a story of patience, resilience, and quiet strength. It is the story of a family who believed in the promise of America so deeply, they were willing to endure a long, costly, and uncertain process to come here the right way. In 1959, my parents left León, Mexico, with dreams of building a better life, not just for themselves, but for their children and future generations. For 2 long years, they navigated the U.S. immigration system the legal way. They filed every document, answered every question, and paid for every legal service out of their own pockets, not because it was easy, but because it was the right thing to do to become an American. We did not cross the border under the cover of night. We did not come hidden in the back of a truck or swim across rivers. We were never mojados, a word used often dismissively, but one we proudly never had applied to us. My parents came with visas, legal documents in hand, and a determination to start a new life with honor. They made a promise to themselves they would contribute to this country, not take from it. And they've kept that promise. There were no free rides once we arrived. My parents never received welfare, food stamps, housing assistance, or any government handouts. Every meal on our table was earned. Every rent check paid with hard work. My mother worked long hours as a hotel maid, scrubbing floors, making beds, and cleaning after strangers so their children could have a better life. There was no glamour in this, but there was dignity. She never once complained. She was proud to work, proud to be self-reliant. I grew up watching my parents live out the values that this country claims to cherish: hard work, personal responsibility, family, and faith. They did not come here expecting America to give them something. They came to give something to America: their labor, their skill, their culture, and most importantly, their children's future. Our story is not unique, but it is rarely told in 2025. In today's debates about immigration, there's often too little room for the voices who came legally, who followed the rules, who contributed quietly without asking for special treatment. Too often we are either lumped in with illegal immigrants or entirely forgotten. But we are here. We exist, and our journey really matters. The Vargas family's path to America is one of sacrifice, legal integrity, and silent courage. It is a reminder that immigration done the right way is not easy, but it is possible, and it is worth it. We are proud of our roots in Leon, Mexico, but proud of our choices, and now proud to be part of a country we entered with both hope and honor as Americans. God bless you, Willie Vargas. That is beautifully written and beautifully posted on Facebook. I am appalled with the laziness of media that cover this story, even in the Trump era as it's being cleaned up. Nobody's gone back and written stories about how the Democrats said they needed to pass legislation. The Republicans were in the way of closing the border. We need to pass legislation. Congress won't do it. There's been no legislation on the border. Trump's done all this quickly, swiftly, and easily. It has been organized. There's been very little chaos or complaint. Maryland man is now somebody that the left won't talk about because we all know the crimes he's committed. When they do find somebody that they hail and try to point at and say, oh, the system that Trump's put in place is broken, that narrative is usually quashed down in a matter of weeks, not days, because they stay on it for a while, but then they realize they're outed and the truth comes out. Yet nobody in Kansas City wants to go report stories like the Vargas family. Nobody wants to talk about all of our ancestors that came here legally and did it the right way. There is no discussion about how many people should we legally migrate into the country. How can we have more points of entry in this country where we scan people or we know people before they get here, and when they arrive, we can quickly get them through the system and let them earn a path to citizenship. In an electronic age when the world is so small, we should be able to take applications from all over the world from people that want to be citizens here, and the second they arrive, they could be on a 6 to 8 week fast track to becoming a citizen once they get here. It shouldn't take long. We should know the history of where they're from, their criminal background in that country, everything about the people that they're bringing with them, and when they get here, you do some simple things. You get a social security number, you start paying taxes, you get a dwelling, you start contributing to society, and we'd love for you to be a citizen. We can use more American citizens. We need to be choosy. We need to pick the right ones, and I'm not talking about blue or red, Democrat or Republican. Although I know how this ends. If we screen the applicants and work towards citizenship for the people like Willie Vargas and what his family wanted to do, what we're going to wind up with is 2/3 of those people are going to be Republicans. That's just the way it is. The Republican Party is America through and through. It's patriotic. It's a group of people that believe in the Constitution and the principles of our country, and we don't apologize for things that may have happened in the past. We can recognize we did things wrong, but you don't apologize for greatness. We got where we are, and we need to continue it. And the way to do it is through legal immigration. And I don't know what the number is, but I have no problem if it's 5 million people a year. Let's find the right 5 million. And let's find a way, if we need more workers, if we need more citizens, if our population is getting smaller, let's bring people in. Let's bring a broad cross-section from multiple countries. Let's do it on merit. Let's bring good people with good families that are smart and hardworking, that want to be Americans first and revere their homeland second. That's what we need. The Vargas family. from Leon, Mexico in 1959. Now a great, nearly three quarters of a century Americans. Ingrained in this country. Flag waving, business owning, red, white, and blue. It does not matter where you come from. If you come for that, you can find it here in America. Count me in. Thank you for that great email and an excellent post by Mr. Vargas. 913-408-7957 is the phone number. If you'd like to join the conversation, come on in. We get to check in with Mark next. He spent a little time with the family over an extended weekend and so much going on in sports. We've got that to catch up on, too. Next on Uncanceled. Another sign, media changing in America in a wild way. The Skydance Paramount, you've heard a lot about this because they fired Stephen Colbert. They also bought South Park, the animated comedy show, and we'll put that on their streaming service, Paramount Plus. Now they have announced that they have spent $7.7 billion for the rights to UFC fights. There will no longer be pay-per-views. You will not have to pay pay-per-view to watch UFC fights. They will all be on either CBS television or Paramount Plus, which is a subscriber-based thing, $9 a month or whatever. But that's where the UFC fights are going to be on Paramount Plus and Skydance. The person running the new Skydance company, this is the important part, and the only reason I bring it up. I don't know anything about him politically, but I think I know everything about him politically. I think he's Team MAGA, or at least he's building his company in the era of Trump. He is the son of Larry Ellison, who founded Oracle. Oracle's a major employer here in Kansas City as they bought Cerner. Larry Ellison is worth almost $300 billion. This is his son running the new company Skydance as a media conglomerate, and it's pretty obvious if you fired Colbert, you bought South Park, and now you bought UFC, you're at least halfway to being full MAGA. So this outfit's doing a 180. I think we can expect CBS News to at least be fair and balanced going forward. I think 60 Minutes is going to return in a real way. I think we're going to see great journalism again in America with 60 Minutes because I don't think they're going to allow them to be crazy leftists that just sit there and argue with Trump like Leslie Stahl did that time and allow her to be wrong and say, well, we're 60 Minutes. We're better than you. No, you got to get things right, and Skydance is doing it. That's a big move. How much UFC do you watch, Mark Van Sickle?
I only watch it a little bit when I've got some money on the line or something like that.
Man, I got a buddy, Lee Sterling, at Paramount Sports. We'll have him on a couple times during football season. He's a handicapper. Is ParamountSports.com. He does UFC fights, and I know some people that have bought his subscription. They are killing it. He is just
a lot of people love it,
slaying it. I think he was 6-2 this weekend on his picks. I wouldn't even begin to know how to bet UFC fights. Do you just take long shots?
You know, I just follow one of my buddies that does it.
Okay.
So
there you go.
That's as much as I could do there.
But now that they're not all on pay-per-view, I may watch more. I've got Paramount Plus and I've got CBS. I think maybe I'll watch more UFC fights. Okay, what'd you think of the Chiefs on Saturday night, buddy?
I liked the first quarter.
Yeah.
I liked what Gardner Minshew showed as a backup quarterback. I think he's a good backup for the Chiefs. Josh Simmons, again, I like the left tackle. Kingsley Suamaitea, not quite sure about him at left guard, but they'll work on it. I think they're going to be better along the offensive line this season.
48 seconds in, 1 pass, 1 yard, 1 touchdown for Patrick Mahomes, and that was his night. That's the perfect debut.
Yeah, that's all you need from Patrick Mahomes in the preseason.
So I can't compliment Patrick Mahomes enough on something that's getting no attention in this town, and that is clearly he makes a demand to his head coach and throws a fit. I want to get out on the field. I want to be in a football. He's so sick of what happened in that Super Bowl. I want back out there. He was going nuts hyping up before the game. I don't know if you saw him on the sideline before the start for a preseason game.
Yeah.
Other quarterbacks of his ilk have not played yet. He was like the only one. He's the only marquee guy that played in the NFL this week. That says so much about Patrick Mahomes. I love that. That's really cool. Okay, how about this? The first female umpire debuted in baseball this week. She'd been 10 years in the minors. She was a field ump for the first 2 games, and then yesterday she was the home plate umpire and was the first to call a ball or a strike before robots take it over next year. So they just beat the deadline for a woman to call a ball or a strike. What'd you think?
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I do think the robo umps are on the way because, man, some of those calls are just terrible this year. I don't know why this year compared to other years, but it's just been bad.
Jen Powell, I think is how you pronounce her name. Are the Royals toast? Are they done? You ready to stick a fork in them?
I'm not ready. I want to see how they do on this homestand because these are games that they should win. If they can come out with a lot of wins on this homestand, they'll be back in it. So I just can't stick a fork in them yet with 3 wild cards.
Okay, I'm not going to say they're dead to me. That's not fair. They've played too hard. Look, the Royals play hard. They've got good players. They're a decent team, but they've not really shown us that they're a good team.
Yeah.
Or certainly a playoff caliber team. They have some nice parts. A lot of that has changed with the pitchers that have gotten hurt, but I mean, at this point, I can't believe you got to show me something. Wake me up when something good happens. That's kind of where I am. I'm dormant on them.
They still need to get better with runners in scoring position. Yesterday, they were like 1 for 15 or something like that with runners in scoring position. Absolutely pathetic. But if they can get better with that, they'll score the runs and they'll win games.
I hope I'm not a bad person for saying the Royals are dormant on me, but that's kind of what they are. They're kind of dormant on me. How about this? Have you ever had the ribs at Chili's?
I have not had the ribs. I love the commercial about the ribs. My friends like the ribs.
Okay. So I figure if you live in Kansas City that probably the Chili's here don't sell as many ribs as they do like maybe in California.
Yeah.
Something like that. So a guy goes online this weekend and says there's a hack on the menu. There's 2 places you can buy ribs on the Chili's menu, and they're pages of the menu that face each other. The first is the rib plates on the left, and the second one is the combos on the right. On the rib plate, you can get the full slab, 2 sides, $28. On the right side, you can get the Pick 3 combo platter with 2 sides and get 3 half racks of ribs. $28. It's the same thing if that's how you pick 3.
Yeah, pick 3, easy.
Did they not know? They think this is some kind of inside thing? It takes 2 seconds to figure that out.
Sometimes there is a hack like that. Sometimes I see that even at the grocery store where they're like, oh, yeah, you can get a 6-pack of cans here for more than what the 6-pack of the 16-ounce pops are. Like, it's the same thing. You can get more with the bottles, though.
Do the Pick 3 at Chili's, get the 3 half slabs, and that's better than the 1 slab.
Yeah.
With the 2 sides. Dancing with the Stars, Israel. I think you're going to like this, folks. You're going to have to Google search this yourself. I'd play it for you, but the only thing you'd hear is the Village People's YMCA, which you've heard enough of. So there's nothing, you have to see it. Dancing with the Stars, Israel this week. The smash hit of the broadcast was Donald and Melania Trump coming out. And there's just stars and stripes and graphics and stuff everywhere. Like, it's as well produced as the one here. It's Trump in a blue suit, red tie, the hair, the whole thing. Melania comes out with one of those Melania hats. You can't see her eyes. She's looking beautiful. And Trump walks up to the podium, and then the music starts. And Trump starts doing the Trump dance thing. And Melania starts moving, and off comes the hat. She rips her business suit off, and she's got like this dance clothing on.
There you go.
It's all red, white, and blue, and they start dancing to YMCA.
That's awesome.
Why can't they do that in America? Come on, ABC. Get with it. I want to see a Trump couple dancing on Dancing with the Stars. The Vince Show is up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.